It's 6 p.m. on a Monday here in Korea. Welcome to our newscast. I'm Daniel Che. Let's start with the headlines. President Park Geun-hye carries out another partial cabinet reshuffle, this time involving ministers for the transportation, education, and trade ministries, among others. Political celebrity Ahn Cheol-soo is at it again. After quitting the party he co-founded, he announced he's ready to start a new one from scratch with two main goals: improving people's livelihoods and replacing the current administration. South Korean household debt rose to some $52,000 as of March 2015. That's up nearly 2.2% from the same period last year. Key driving force behind this trend: high-income earners moving to buy homes. With the general elections less than 4 months away, President Park is entering her 4th year at the top office, and she executed a long-awaited cabinet reshuffle on Monday. Song Ji-sun has a rundown of who will be joining her.
President Park Geun-hye on Monday announced a cabinet reshuffle involving 5 ministries and 1 agency. She tapped former Transportation Minister Yoo Il-ho for new Deputy Prime Minister and Finance Minister. The presidential office says that Yoo, an experienced bureaucrat, will help revitalize the economy with his expertise and carry out reforms that the government has been pushing for. Yoo said he will maintain policy direction consistent with his predecessor Choi Kyung-hwan, but will first have to undergo a parliamentary confirmation hearing. Vice Finance Minister Chu Hyung-hwan was promoted to Minister of Trade, Industry and Energy, with current Trade Minister Yoon Sang-jin expected to run in next year's general election. Lee Jun-sik, an engineering professor with more than 20 years of teaching experience, was named Deputy Prime Minister for Social Affairs and Minister of Education. Hong Yoon-sik, from the Office for Government Policy Coordination for Prime Minister's Secretariat, was named Minister of the Interior. Ruling party lawmaker Kang Eun-hee was chosen to lead the Ministry of Gender Equality and Family. Kang, a teacher-turned-entrepreneur, also served as spokesperson of the Saenuri Party and is expected to facilitate employment of women. President Park also selected lawyer Song Young-hoon to lead Korea's Anti-Corruption and Civil Rights Commission. Song Ji-sun, Arirang News.
Ahn Cheol-soo held a press conference on Monday at the National Assembly. The former co-leader of the main opposition New Politics Alliance for Democracy revealed plans to launch a new political party by early February next year. Kim Young-gil brings us Ahn's big announcement.
Ahn Cheol-soo, now an independent who defected from the New Politics Alliance for Democracy party earlier this month, said Monday that his new party will have 2 main priorities.
The new party will focus on improving people's livelihoods and strive to replace the current administration by winning the next presidential election for the sake of Korea's future.
And said he was recruiting members who will help him form a new opposition force and have specific details worked out before February, as a preparatory committee will be launched early next year. He stressed that the new party will be at the forefront of political reform and will also join hands with groups with differing views and ideologies.
The new party will not be my personal party. I will form coalitions with various members of society. The new party will offer hope, not give in to vested interests, and strive for political unity.
And added that he is open to joining hands with former MPAD lawmakers, but not with the MPAD itself, which is undergoing an internal power struggle among different factions. The ruling Saenuri Party criticized Ahn's move, saying it does not benefit the opposition bloc and remains aware of the political move. The business tycoon turned politician left their party earlier this month after the current MPAD chief Moon Jae-in refused Ahn's proposal to hold a party convention to elect a new leader. With Ahn now officially launching a new political party, it looks like change in the political landscape is on the horizon for Korea in the run-up to the general election slated for April. Kim Young-gil, Arirang News.
Moving on to other stories, economists at the World Bank have raised concerns that the slower growth seen in emerging markets since the tail end of the global financial crisis could be part of a longer-term trend. According to Hwang Ji-hae, Korea will be heavily affected as well, with its economy widely expected to only grow in the 2% range next year. Take a look.
Emerging economies are at a crossroads facing the risk of a slower growth era. That's according to a report by the World Bank. It says the growth rate in 24 emerging countries, including China, Brazil, and South Korea, dropped to the 3% range this year from 7.6% posted 5 years ago. The United Nations has also slashed next year's growth forecast for developing countries by 0.5 percentage points to 4.3%, while leaving that of advanced nations unchanged at 2.2%. From the early 1980s until the global financial crisis in 2008, emerging countries led global growth and posted record growth figures. But their performance in recent years has weakened due to slowing global demand and plunging commodity prices. Many are concerned that Korea is also part of this protracted slump, especially as the Chinese economy is moving to a slower yet safer and more sustainable growth, focusing on domestic consumption over government investment. Bilateral trade with China accounts for a quarter of Korea's total trade.
Slowing growth in China is not a temporary trend. Coupled with tumbling metal and oil prices, the outlook for Korean exports look pretty dim for the foreseeable future.
Given that major private financial institutions expect the economy to expand in the 2% range in 2016, while the government targets 3.1% growth. To do so, the government has pledged to push through structural reforms to improve the business environment and tackle issues like the nation's rapidly aging population. However, experts are skeptical about completing such reforms, with general elections set for next year and the presidential election set to take place the year after. Hwang Ji-ae, Arirang News.
Tracking the size of a country's so-called underground or shadow economy is no easy task. The Korean government wants to target business activity that is unreported or underreported because it costs the nation a fortune in lost tax revenues. Oh Soo-young gives us an idea of how big the underground economy is here in Korea.
The size of Korea's underground economy ballooned to an all-time high last year, reaching almost $380 billion. According to a report by the Korea Development Institute, this accounts for roughly 30% of Korea's annual GDP and is more than 10 percentage points higher than the OECD average. The report attributes the vastness of Korea's underground economy to the rising demand for cash, fueled by low-interest policies and growing economic uncertainties. Over the past 4 decades, the undocumented market in Korea has grown more than 560-fold. To crack down on unregulated business activities, the Korean government has been enforcing various measures. These include tax deduction benefits, requiring identification for financial transactions, and issuing cash receipts. These initiatives seem to have worked to a degree. Experts say that without such measures, the scope of Korea's underground market would have reached some $490 billion last year, or roughly 40% of the country's GDP. To bring the shadow economy into the light, experts say more effort should be taken to formalize unregulated activities, such as strengthening cash receipt requirements and issuing electronic transaction bills. Oh Soo-young, Arirang News.
Latest data shows that Korea's household debt rose this year compared to the previous year, with those in their 60s showing the greatest increase. Shin Se-min looks into those numbers.
The average Korean household debt rose to 61 million won, or $52,000 for the first time ever this March, up 2.2% compared to the previous year. Data compiled by the Bank of Korea, Statistics Korea, and the Financial Supervisory Service show that the rise is a result of the increase of high-income earners purchasing homes on the back of cheaper borrowing costs. The data also showed that 63.3% were in debt, more than half from mortgage loans and the remainder with personal debts. Households spent over 24% of their income on repaying their debt, up nearly 4% from the previous year. Income, along with annual disposable income, also rose, reaching over $33,000. The financial debt to disposable income ratio exceeded 110%, the highest since data was first collected in 2012.
Households with family members in their 30s and 40s have 68 and 70% debt, while those in their 60s or older have nearly half of that amount.
And in terms of the debt by age group, those in their 50s accounted for the least increase, with the debt figure dropping 1.4% on year. The amount of debt increased across the remaining age group, with Koreans in their 60s posting the largest increase of over 8.5%, an indication that the growing population of Korea's silver citizens are becoming more economically active. Looking at the data, the Finance Ministry added that it plans to monitor the increase in debt and deal with sudden hikes that could pose a threat to the economy. Shin Se-min, Arirang News.
Samsung's Biologics is looking to become the world's biggest manufacturer of biopharmaceuticals, as its chairman Lee Gun-hee has been investing in new areas to shore up growth for the family-controlled company. For the latest move by Korea's biggest conglomerate, we turn to Kim Hyun-bin.
Samsung's Biologics revealed plans to invest $721 million in its facility in Songdo to become the largest contract manufacturing organization. President Park Geun-hye attended the groundbreaking ceremony on Monday, hosted by Samsung Group's pharmaceutical unit, Samsung Biologics, in the city of Incheon, west of Seoul. President Park vowed to support the biomedicine industry and emphasized that the industry will spur growth through drastic deregulation and continuous research and development. President Park singled out the biohealth industry as a core component of the creative economy, which will create high-value products and high-quality jobs. The completion of the Songdo facility alone is expected to produce 180,000 liters annually, surpassing that of Switzerland's Lonza Group and Germany's Boehringer Ingelheim. Samsung Biologics expects the global CMO market to reach $7.2 billion in 2017, which is an annual growth of 9.4%. A drastic increase considering the global CMO market was $4.6 billion in 2012. The company's capacity will double to 360,000 liters after its third plant is completed in 2018, as Samsung is vying to become the world's top manufacturer by 2020. Kim Hyun-bin, Arirang News.
Turning our focus to inter-Korean relations, the two Koreas are at odds on how much rent South Korean companies in the inter-Korean Kaesong Industrial Complex should pay for using North Korean land. This comes as Seoul will no longer be exempt from paying rent starting next year. Back in 2004, the two sides agreed on allowing the South to work rent-free for a decade. The regime demands South Korean companies pay $1 per square meter for the total area of land that was to be developed under the 2004 agreement. Seoul insists on paying half of Pyongyang's offered rental price. Kaesong is the last symbol of inter-Korean cooperation, with 124 South Korean firms operating in the complex with 54,000 North Korean employees. Another South Korean resident was shot dead in the Philippines. No word yet on the motive for the murder, but for the first time ever, Korean police will be dispatched to the site to take part in the investigation. Kwon So-hwa has this report.
Another South Korean national has been shot and killed in the Philippines, raising the number of murder cases involving South Koreans to 11 this year. The Korean embassy said a 57-year-old man surnamed Cho, who worked in the construction industry, was shot dead by 4 unidentified armed assailants at around 1:30 a.m. on Sunday local time. They reportedly broke into his house in Malvar, a city in the province of Batangas, south of Manila, while he was asleep with his wife and child. According to reports, his wife and child were unharmed. There is no word yet on a possible motive for the murder, but local police are said to be investigating all possibilities ranging from simple robbery to revenge. Along with Filipino law enforcement, South Korean police will also be involved in the investigation for the first time ever in a case abroad. According to the Korea Police Agency on Monday, an investigative team of 3 is expected to be dispatched to Batangas within the next 2 days.
Local police are in charge of crimes that happen in their jurisdiction, but allowing Korean police to take part shows how bilateral cooperation has advanced, as well as how serious crimes targeting Korean residents has become. The Philippine National Police seem to be acknowledging the need for Korea's prowess in scientific investigations.
Violent crimes such as murder and robberies targeting Korean nationals has been on the rise in the country, with 39 Koreans murdered in the Philippines in the past 4 years. Kwon So-hwa, Arirang News.
Let's shift gears to a different story now. Google has released its top 10 trending search terms for 2015, and high rankers are mostly related to some of the biggest newsmakers. For Korea, unfortunately, topping the list was, of all the good things, MERS. Lee Ji-won lists out the hot search words for this year.
Google has released the most popular internet search terms for 2015. In Korea, the most searched word or phrase was Middle East Respiratory Syndrome, or MERS. The country was hit by an outbreak earlier this year. It infected 186 people and killed 38 before being brought fully under control in the autumn. Next on the list was Namu Wiki, an online encyclopedia, followed by water park video. The video shocked the nation as an unknown person had recorded women showering at a well-known water park in Korea and uploaded it onto the internet. Japan's top search was the Islamic State group, and its fifth most popular search was Kenji Goro, the Japanese man beheaded by ISIS. Typhoon and rugby were also in Japan's top 5. The top search in the U.S. was Lamar Odom. The former NBA star's drug binge culminated with him being found unconscious in a Nevada brothel. Second and third most searched were the movies Jurassic World and American Sniper. China was excluded as its Great Firewall limits access to Google. Categorizing the top searches globally, Lamar Odom was top, followed by Charlie Hebdo after the terror shootings at its Paris office. The online game Agario rounded out the top 3. Lee Ji-won, Arirang News.
And that brings us to the end of this newscast. More coming up at 10 p.m. Korea time, so do join us then. For now, thank you for watching.